Netanyahu rejects pardon deal and says voters will decide his political future. Israeli forces advance into southern Lebanon despite the ceasefire. And Donald Trump Jr. questions U.S. support for Ukraine, criticizes Zelensky and Western sanctions. Hello, good evening, live from Cairo. This is Qnews. It's 8 o'clock. To our top story tonight, a Palestinian girl has been killed by fire from the Israeli army outside its deployment areas in the Mawasi neighborhood of Rafah, south of the Gaza Strip. According to medical sources in Gaza, the Israeli forces also carried out shelling and airstrikes in various areas across the Strip. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu dismissed the idea of leaving politics in exchange for a presidential pardon, saying voters and not legal maneuvers will decide his future. During a joint press conference with German Chancellor Friedrich Merz, Netanyahu also questioned and addressed questions about international travel, noting he has avoided Germany due to the ICC prosecutor, not because of diplomatic sensitivities. He reiterated Israel's unchanged security posture from the Jordan River to the Mediterranean and declined to tie Germany to any future peacekeeping role in Gaza.
There was a special moral commitment to enable the Jewish state, the Jewish people, to recover from this horror.
Meanwhile, Israel's president has rejected Trump's formal request to pardon Netanyahu, who has been on trial for more than 5 years on corruption charges. Herzog said that he respects President Trump's friendship and his opinion, but stressed that Israel is a sovereign country and that its legal system must be fully respected. Last month, Trump sent Herzog a letter in which he slammed the corruption charges against Israel's prime minister as political and unjustified. King Abdullah II of Jordan stressed the importance of adhering to the provisions of the ceasefire agreement in Gaza, ensuring the flow of humanitarian aid and halting unilateral measures against Palestinians in the West Bank. During his meeting with the European High Representative for Foreign Affairs, Kaja Kallas, King Abdullah II reiterated the need to comply with the ceasefire agreement in Gaza, guarantee the delivery of humanitarian assistance, and stop unilateral actions against Palestinians in the West Bank. The Israeli newspaper Ma'ariv reported that a soldier took his own life after suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder resulting from his participation in the war on Gaza. The newspaper explained that the soldier was experiencing severe psychological trauma due to his involvement in the conflict, which had significant impact on his medical and mental health. The Chief of Staff of the Israeli Army, Major General Eyal Zamir, stated that the yellow line in the Gaza Strip has become the new border. During his inspection tour in Beit Hanun and Jabalia, Zamir added that the army enjoys freedom of action and will not allow Hamas to re-establish its presence in any area. He emphasized the need to be prepared for all scenarios, maintain troop readiness, and adhere to operational standards. Zamir also confirmed that the army is preparing for the possibility of a sudden war as part of its preparations for the second phase, highlighting the importance of strengthening reserve forces and increasing overall army readiness to confront any future threat, he says. The death toll in Gaza continues to rise as Israeli forces carry out deadly attacks despite the ceasefire agreement, now in its 58th day. Since the ceasefire began, at least 367 Palestinians have been killed and more than 950 wounded, while rescue teams have recovered 624 bodies from across the Strip. Overall, since the war began in October 2023, Israeli military operations have killed at least 70,354 people and injured 171,030, that's according to Gaza health authorities. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says he expects to move to the second phase of the Gaza truce very shortly. He made the remarks alongside German Chancellor Friedrich Merz during a joint press conference in Jerusalem. Netanyahu said work is underway to advance the next phase of the agreement without giving a specific timeline or any details. Chancellor Merz, on his first visit to Israel since taking office, held talks in Jerusalem focused on the truce, humanitarian access and regional security. The press conference comes as mediators intensify efforts to secure Phase 2 arrangements, amid continued international calls to maintain the ceasefire and expand aid deliveries.
We expect to move into the second phase, which is more difficult, or equally difficult. We finished the first.
Now let's cross over to our newsroom where Salma El-Fi'i is there for us. Salma.
Thank you, Mark. And for further analysis, we are joined from Cairo by the former Assistant Foreign Minister, Ambassador Mohammed Hagazi. Welcome, sir, to Q News. Sir, how do you view the Israeli president's rejection of a pardon for Netanyahu?
I think the Israelis has many negative points in their practice in the first phase, in spite of the fact that we have completed almost all the transfer of the remains of the Israeli killed in Gaza. And this is also another manifestation of the Israeli hesitation and provocation in the first phase. 375, according to the report of Palestinians killed, shows that the Israelis are not clearly adhering to the commitment the international community has announced in their peace deal in Sharm el-Sheikh and later on the UN Security Council Resolution 2803 on the 18th of November. So all the hopes that the renewed call for the implementation of the second phase will bring a new dimension to the peace process in the region and bring more adherence by the Israelis to the points that has been approved not only by them and the American administration, but endorsed also by the international community in Sharm el-Sheikh and in the UN Security Council resolution.
Netanyahu stated that his political future will be determined by elections. Do you think this is a signal meaning the end of his rule is near?
I think this is to the Israeli people to decide their election. But for us, whoever is committed to peace is a lawful partner. But we haven't seen this sincerity in the current government or in the Prime Minister Netanyahu's practice during the past 2 years. We hope to see the Middle East looking further to development and stability and regional security for all, not only for Israel, and for Israel to search for different methodology of working to secure its border and its people, and that will not come by the ongoing violent practices and illegal practices that they are doing.
Are happening. Mr. Ambassador, are we approaching the second phase of the Gaza agreement, you think?
Everybody is talking about the second phase.
Yeah.
The German Chancellor, President Trump. I think in the middle of this month, there's an ongoing talk that President Trump will name the Peace and Stability Council, which will lead the political process. And I hope that by naming this council, along with the talk about the Palestinian support government, which will be composed of the technical officials from Gaza Strip, will be a key to the success of the second phase, particularly the ongoing talks about the stability force that will, international stability force that will come. All those institutions, as we know, are transitional, as Dr. Badr Abdelati, the Foreign Minister, said today, and always, that those institutions are transitional, and we will move to the second phase, hopefully, by the mid-December, and maybe after President Trump meet Prime Minister Netanyahu. This is an important meeting to bring the Israelis to understand that by adhering to what has been agreed is the key to success, and Israel hasn't really been known as a country that adhered to its agreements, and that was one of the problems that we are facing in the Middle East. We signed, and after signature, Israel shows less concern about the implementation.
Mr. Ambassador, what is your reaction to Israel's statements that the red line has become the new boundaries for the Gaza Strip?
No, this is wrong. And this is, again, in almost few days that they announced things that is not in the agreement. Once they spoke about opening the Rafah crossing from one side, the Israeli side, to the Palestinian, which has been rejected by the regional and international partners. And again, when you announce that the yellow line is the border line, is totally against what President Trump, he himself, pointed out in the deal and the agreement in Sharm el-Sheikh, and then after in the UN Security Council resolution, who endorsed the border of the 20 points of President Trump, in which an Israeli scheduled withdrawal will be conducted. There is no talk about embarking in one line of division as a permanent line, and this is wrong. Once again, the Israeli leadership is complicating the process. At the same time, they are not adhering to agreements. And let me just finish by saying that the lack of the Israeli commitment to what has been signed is always an Israeli practice since Oslo and before White Plantation and Cairo agreements. Unless Israel adheres to what it has signed, we will move nowhere.
And that was Ambassador Mohammed Hegazi from Cairo, the former Assistant Foreign Minister. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us here on Q News. And now we go back to Mark Summers in our studio. Mark.
Thank you very much, Selma. Thank you very much indeed. Now let's get the latest developments from Lebanon.
كل المستهدفين هن مدنيين. وضع شيء مرعب، شيء بخوف.
The Israeli army reported that its forces have advanced into Hula and Ait el-Shab in southern Lebanon. This comes as Israeli forces continue daily violations of the ceasefire agreement in Lebanon, which was signed several months ago. Lebanese Prime Minister Nawaf Salam said that Israel should have withdrawn from all Lebanese territory 10 months ago, but has not, stressing that Israeli violations continue almost daily and that Lebanon is not in a state of peace with Israel. Speaking at the Doha Forum, Salam reaffirmed Lebanon's commitment to holding parliamentary elections on schedule and advancing reforms, alongside restoring state sovereignty and limiting arms to state institutions. He added that there is no security justification for Israel's continued presence in the southern points it occupied, noting that discussions are underway through the quintet mechanism overseeing the ceasefire. Salam also emphasized Lebanon's adherence to Resolution 1701 and warned that Israel is waging a war of attrition. The commander of UNIFIL, Deodato Abagnara, confirmed that Israeli attacks in Lebanon constitute a continuous and blatant violation of Resolution 1701. In a press statement, the UNIFIL commander said that his forces do not have a mandate to disarm Hezbollah, but they assist the Lebanese army in every possible way to achieve this. Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesperson Ismail Baghai said today claims of Iranian interference in Lebanon are entirely misleading, insisting that Tehran plays no role in Lebanese affairs and that Hezbollah is a deeply rooted independent actor within Lebanon. Baghai stressed that Iran's commitment to regional peace and security should not be misinterpreted as meddling, but rather seen as a part of its broader responsibility, noting that Tehran remains ready for dialogue with Lebanese officials. He added that decisions concerning Lebanon must be made through Lebanese consultation among all national components. Moreover, he emphasized that matters related to Hezbollah's weapons are determined solely by the group itself and not by Iran. Now, in other news, Sudanese Prime Minister Kemal Idris condemned the Rapid Support Forces bombing of a kindergarten and a hospital in Kologi in South Kordofan, calling the attack a barbaric act that amounts to a full-fledged war crime. Idris said today that the strike demonstrates that the RSF meets all criteria for designation as a terrorist organization targeting civilians, including young children. He urged international and human rights bodies to condemn what he described as an unprecedented and inhumane crime, allegedly enabled by external planners and financiers. Also, he vowed full support for victims and the affected state, stressing that the group's continued attacks on civilian facilities, such as the Rosaires power station, blatantly violate international and humanitarian law. Foreign Minister and Minister of Immigration Badr Abdul Ati discussed with Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi ways to enhance bilateral relations between the two countries and the Iranian nuclear issue. Abdul Ati stressed the importance of continuing efforts aimed at de-escalation, confidence building and creating conditions that offer a genuine opportunity for diplomatic solutions, as well as resuming dialogue with the goal of reaching a comprehensive agreement on the nuclear file. Now, Donald Trump Jr., the eldest son of US President Donald Trump, suggested that Washington may pull back its support for Ukraine. According to comments made at the Doha Forum in Qatar, he claimed Ukraine's wealthy elite had fled at the onset of the war, leaving what they believed to be the peasant class to fight, and accused President Volodymyr Zelensky of prolonging the conflict for political survival. Trump Jr. said every license plate in Monaco is Ukrainian, alleging the corrupt rich had escaped while continuing to profit from wartime funds. He argued European sanction had only driven up oil prices and boosted Russia's revenue, calling the West's strategy not a plan. He added that during his 2022 canvassing, US voters
things I got to witness. I was this summer with my beautiful girlfriend Bettina in Monaco, and we were driving around, and on an average day, 50% of the supercars.
Meanwhile, former U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton says she is concerned about President Donald Trump's second-term foreign policy. Also speaking at the Doha Forum, she argued it departs from core American values and risks weakening Ukraine. Clinton told a Doha Forum panel that Trump's approach to Russia and Ukraine is, in her view, effectively backing Moscow's invasion. She said the president rarely criticizes President Putin, and she accused him of pressurizing Kyiv towards a ceasefire arrangement that she argued would leave Ukraine exposed to renewed Russian aggression. Clinton framed the issue as a wider shift in U.S. global leadership, warning that American credibility depends on defending sovereignty and the rule-based order, not rewarding territorial conquest.
And then, attempting to try to coerce the Ukrainians into accepting.
Russia's defense ministry has announced that its forces have seized control of 2 Ukrainian villages in the northern Kharkiv region and the eastern Donetsk. The ministry also said Moscow launched coordinated strikes targeting Ukrainian transport infrastructure, fuel and energy facilities, military airfields and long-range drone systems as fighting intensifies across multiple fronts. An aide to Russian President Vladimir Putin, Yuri Ushakov, affirmed that the path towards reaching a settlement to the Ukrainian conflict is not easy. Ushakov said that Russia and the United States are working on coordinating the difficult points that need to be defined in order to shape a future document on Ukraine, emphasizing that the drafting of proposal and text relates to this document and it's still in its early stages. Iran's foreign ministry has protested what it calls a U.S. decision to deny visas to members of an Iranian delegation for the World Cup draw ceremony. Spokesman Ismail Baghai also said more Iranian nationals are expected to return from the United States in the coming days. Speaking in Tehran, Baghai said Iran has formally objected to the U.S. move, and he urged FIFA as the World Cup organizer to fulfill what he described as its responsibilities. He also addressed the return of Iranian nationals from the United States, saying American authorities cited immigration violations, but he claimed harassment and discriminatory treatment against foreigners, especially Iranians, has intensified over the past year. He also said that this is the second group returned in recent months and that Iran's interests section in Washington assisted those who asked to come home.
و نقض قوانین مهاجرتی این ادعایی است که طرف‌های آمریکایی کردن ولی ما می‌دونیم که در این یک سال اقدامات
U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has said he supports the September 2nd decision to launch a second strike on a suspected drug smuggling vessel in the Caribbean. Speaking at the Reagan National Defense Forum in Simi Valley, California, He noted that he personally would have made the same call. Hegseth reiterated his account of the events, saying he witnessed the initial strike on September 2nd before leaving for another meeting. He did not confirm whether the administration plans to release the full video of the incident, stating only that the matter remains under review.
These narco-terrorists are the Al-Qaeda of our hemisphere, and we are hunting them with the same sophistication and precision that we hunted Al-Qaeda. We are tracking them, we are killing them, and we will keep killing them so long as they are poisoning our people with narcotics so lethal.
Sri Lanka is stepping up relief efforts after Cyclone Ditwa. An Air Force helicopter delivered supplies to a landslide cut-off village in Badulla. As officials say, the death toll has climbed to 627, with 190 still missing. Government video showed an Air Force helicopter dropping relief goods to isolated communities in Badulla after landslides severed access routes. Additional aid has arrived by air in Colombo, including a relief shipment flown in on an Edelweiss airplane. Separate footage shows military teams are unloading bridge components from an Indian Air Force aircraft in Bandar Naika International Airport, as authorities work to restore damaged links and reopen transport corridors. Sri Lanka's Disaster Management Centre says 627 people have died and 190 remain missing as rebuilding begins across areas hit by floods and landslides. A senior World Economic Forum director is praising China's rapid adoption of advanced technologies in manufacturing. Qnews says visits to cutting-edge firms in Hangzhou showed how AI and robotics are being used to lift productivity. Neo, the WEF's chair of Greater China and a managing director for its Center for Nature and Climate, said China is setting an example in applying new technologies to high-end production. She said the forum is closely tracking how innovation is being integrated into advanced manufacturing to raise output. Neo's remarks come as the WEF's Global Lighthouse Network continues to expand. The network, launched in 2018, now includes more than 200 factories worldwide. In September, 12 new sites joined, with Chinese facilities making up half of them. Elon Musk has denied media reports claiming that SpaceX is raising new funds at an $800 billion valuation, calling the information inaccurate. In a post on X, Musk said that SpaceX has been cash flow positive for years and conducts biannual stock buybacks to provide liquidity for employees and investors, rather than pursuing new fundraising rounds. Well, that's almost all we have time for this evening, but before we go, here's a recap of the main headlines this evening. Netanyahu rejects a pardon deal and says voters will decide his political future. Israeli forces advance into southern Lebanon despite ceasefire. And Donald Trump Jr. questions U.S. support for Ukraine, criticizes Zelensky and Western sanctions. And that's our news bulletin for this evening. Don't forget you can find more stories at Qnews EGY. That's our handle. From all of us here, have a very nice Sunday evening and stay tuned for more here on Qnews.